Have you ever thought about and felt like your content is actually good? Like people are liking it, people are engaging with it, commenting on it. Maybe they're even sliding into your DMs saying, oh my gosh, this was so helpful. But the content isn't actually turning into clients. Like there's still some kind of disconnect there, and you're not really sure what it is. Because at least for me and for my clients, this has been one of the most frustrating places to be in business because you're doing the thing, but it's not working out the way you thought it would. So then your brain goes into, I just need to post more. I just need to be more consistent. I need better content. So you start to try to find those kind of strategies, those kind of things. But what if what if good and more content isn't actually the problem? Because good content doesn't guarantee clients. If it doesn't light you up, it won't sell. And that is your sign to shift things in your business. Hi, I'm your host, Maggie Olson. I'm your business mentor, your human design expert, and the creator of the Magnetic Method Design to Convert formula. I help women entrepreneurs just like you simplify their strategy, align their sales with their energy, and finally build a business that feels like freedom, not like pressure. After nearly 2 decades in entrepreneurship, I have learned that success isn't actually about doing more. It's about aligning with what already works for you, tapping into your natural energy. And here on the Chaos to Clarity podcast, we're going to blend human design with practical business strategy to help you attract clients naturally, sell with confidence, and grow with ease. So if you're ready to design a business that lights you up, converts with clarity, and learn more about working with me inside of the Magnetic Method mentorship and all of my other programs, you're going to find the link to all of that in the show notes, and you're going to find all of that information here on the podcast. So let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. Hello and welcome back to the Chaos to Clarity podcast. My name is Maggie. I'm your host. I'm your business mentor and human design expert. And today we are getting into it. We're going to talk about why your content isn't converting, even if your content is good, right? Even if you're getting engagement on there. One thing I want to say right out of the bat is content does not equal conversion, and engagement does not equal sales. A lot of people will call these vanity metrics. They are handy to see, okay, is my content landing? And then that's going to give you the keys to know where to search next when things aren't going the way you thought it would. And so a lot of people get stuck because they're like, well, my content is good and I have engagement, but I don't have sales. So they think they need better content. They need more engagement. And that's literally something that we've been taught, right? We've been taught if your content is good, your business will grow. And here's the thing. Yes, if you're a content creator, right? If your UGC, right? If your job is to create content. Now, I would bet that if you're in business, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably didn't go into business to create content. In fact, it might even be something that you really don't enjoy doing, but you're probably doing it because social media is a great place to connect with people. So when we think about it this way, your content, if you're a coach, if you're a course creator, if you're an online service provider, your content is starting the process, not finishing the process. Gone are the days when we can just post a link and someone will click and someone will buy, right? That was very 2020 of us. And now in 2026, There needs to be more know, like, and trust. There needs to be more seen, heard, understood happening. And how do we get there? Okay. So the content is going to get attraction. And this is where in previous episodes, I've talked all about your client journey. This is where this comes in so handy because your content is there to get attention. Okay. And to keep you top of mind. So it's to get attention to the cool and cold leads who haven't connected with you yet. And then for the people who are connected with you, it keeps you top of mind. So that's what Connect Share content is doing in the client journey process. Okay. So your content is there for attention. It's also there to build awareness. It's, again, to keep you top of mind to people who have followed you. And it can even help build trust, but something that content alone does not create is clients. And that's where I see a lot of coaches, a lot of online service providers falling short because they're like, oh, I have all this content, but I have no clients. And if you're relying on your content alone, or if you're struggling to have conversations, right? You're forcing the content to do the heavy lifting. That's why things are going to feel inconsistent because you're out there and you're posting, right? But you're not out there continuing the conversation. You're not out there being a leader. Now I know what you might be saying. Maggie, I don't have hours a day to be in the DMs. And here's where I will push back on you. Okay. I'm not saying you need to be in the DMs for hours every single day. Absolutely not. I don't spend hours in my DMs. Okay. But I do have 20-minute time blocks where I will go into my DMs and I will look at who is in my DMs. Who have I not messaged back? Who do I want to connect with? I'll go to my list of people, my spreadsheet of people. My clients do this too, right? They'll go and look at their spreadsheet. They'll go and look at who's in their messenger, and then they'll see, okay, who am I going to connect with today? What am I going to continue this conversation about, right? Because if the content is starting the process, you are in charge then of finishing the conversation so that it can close the sale. And like I've said before, if you're a coach or a course creator or just an entrepreneur in general, you need to get comfortable with your sales process in order for you to start closing sales. You are going to have to sell. Now, again, there are many ways to sell. There are many ways to close. You ultimately have to decide what that is for you, which is great because there's tons of ways. There's tons of things you can do and try on and move through, but there's also tons of ways. So you are kind of left to your own devices to figure out that process. Now, I will say, when you work with me, that is something that I help you do. I help you figure out what is the best sales process for me. This is why I use human design, because that kind of gets us closer to what feels natural for you. So if the content is not what is converting, what actually does convert people to a sale? Now, if you sell high ticket items like coaching, mentoring, even courses, what is actually converting people to a sale? It's conversations. It's being in the DMs. It's getting on calls, right? It's getting on and talking to people. So this is often the thing that most people are missing. Your business honestly should probably look like content, conversation, client. That is a very slimmed down client journey. You want to post the content, you want to have a conversation about it, and then you want to convert to client. Now, are there steps in between there? Yes, totally. But I also don't want you to muddy the water because it doesn't have to be as crazy as you think, right? You don't have to be that slim, but it also doesn't have to be like 30 steps. So what I see most people doing, and this is like straight from the horse's mouth, okay? I was in my DMs yesterday talking to people who were doing this exact thing, which is why I wanted to talk about it today. So you can listen to it this week, okay? So what most people are doing, they're creating content and then they're waiting. And they're waiting for someone to message them. And they're sitting there and they're waiting and they're wondering, why aren't people messaging me? Why aren't people seeing my stuff? And the thing about social media is, yes, the more active you are, the more your content will get shown. That's like the very basic level of that. But often these people are posting, they get some sort of engagement, and then they sit back and they hope that someone reaches out because they've said in the comments, let me know if you need anything. And I'm just going to say this, people aren't going to know what they need until you point it out to them. And it's just not how the system works anymore. Okay, gone are the days where you can say, let me know if you need anything. And even if you think about this from like a personal standpoint, right? If your friend is going through something, right? If they're going through something, like maybe someone passed away. I see this a lot, and I've noticed this a lot when people pass away, right? So their loved ones will be posting and people will comment, let me know if you need anything. Now, as someone who last June, my grandma passed away, I had a lot of people telling me, let me know if you need anything. I don't really know what I need until I need it, and then I've probably already gone out and gotten it. Now, I'm not saying you need to go and be in someone's business, but here's the thing. When friends said to me, hey, can I bring dinner over for you? Yeah. Oh my God, amazing. Now I don't have to think of what I need. Okay. So I didn't know what I needed until somebody told me or asked me, hey, can I do this thing for you? So this is very much the same type of thing in business. So if you're posting, people are engaging, and then you sit back and you're like, wow, what a great conversation. People aren't going to know what the next step is, right? They're not in your head. They don't know your process. So here, like, let's go through this breakdown from a business point of view, right? Because yes, you can look at it from that personal point of view that I just shared, but let's bring this into business because I think that's going to really kind of make this more clear for you. So when content gets attention, okay, you've posted and now you're getting responses, okay, have some sort of conversation in the comment section. You're creating the conversation. That's creating trust. And then you ultimately, again, this is something that I help you do when you work with me. You're going to have to decide when is the best time to send that person a DM, a message to say, hey, would it be valuable to continue this conversation? Because that's going to start to create trust. So content creates attention, conversations create the trust, invitations create the clients. So what does this look like for me? Right? For my business, I create content and I love to post in Facebook groups. This is a great example. There's millions of them. They're very active. So if people are saying Facebook groups are dead, I would say, I don't think so. You're probably just not in the right groups. So I create the content, someone replies. And with that reply, then we have a little back and forth. And at some point in there, usually after 2 or 3, comments back and forth, I'll send them a DM. I'll send them a friend request, send them a DM and say, hey, thanks so much for having this conversation. I just wanted to move it here to the DMs. If you have any other questions, I'm here to help answer them. Or if it would be more valuable, I would love to offer you 30 minutes of my time to hop on a call and let's talk through what we've been talking about. So you've got content, I've created the attention, I'm having the conversations, and then I'm inviting them to move to the next step. So what often happens is most people are missing the conversations that create trust. Most people are missing that middle step. So you're going to stay stuck in visible but not paid if you're missing that crucial conversation step. So I always think it's so funny when people are like, I don't DM. I don't use the DMs. And I'm like, are you a coach? Like, I'm not telling you to go and sell your heart and soul in the DMs, but also I am telling you to have conversations because If you had 20 hot leads right now, and I'm so curious about this. So if you're listening to this, make sure you come and slide into my DMs on Instagram or on Facebook. Let me know if you had 20 warm or hot leads right now, would you be able to serve all of them? Would you be able to offer all of them a spot to work with you? Because it's not that you have to, but also if you are having, again, 1 to 3 conversations a day, you're going to warm people up quicker than you think. And it's not going to cost you like an entire day's of work. It's like 20 minutes a day. So when people tell me they don't use the DMs for like qualification, I am astounded because that is the quickest way to understand where someone's at in the buying process. So again, you're probably not lacking or missing leads. You're probably lacking on conversations. And sometimes it's because people don't know what to say. And again, that's okay. That's something that is very, very fixable. It's something I help my clients do all the time. We figure out, okay, what do I say in the DMs? How do I not feel pushy? How do I not feel like a used car salesman? How do I, lead the conversation without feeling the ick? So I've given you a couple examples. Okay. I want to give you a couple more because I love giving examples. And I think this example that I have written down in my notes is probably it's going to hit home for you. Okay. Because I see this all the time. So I see people post and it's something that's really good. And then people are commenting on it. People are liking it. It's getting a lot of attraction. And then nothing happens. Either there's no response from the original poster or, someone kind of comes in and like takes over the comments, which I'm not a fan of. So I don't I want to rule my comment section on my posts. If I see another post that has some really good conversation, I might chime in, but it's not necessarily those posts that I'm going to be like hot in the comment section on. So someone posts something, it's great. It's getting a lot of comments, getting a lot of likes, getting a lot of attention, but there's no follow-ups. There's, again, no connection in the comment section, probably no DMs. Now, some of the people that I'm seeing do this, I don't think they're doing DMs, just because there's no comments going on from the original poster. So nothing happens. There's literally no next step for that person. Or something else that I see that a lot of clients come in and they share that this is what has happened. They're in the DMs and they're having great conversation and then nothing. There's either never an invite or the conversation gets ghosted. And I will say if you're getting ghosted in conversations, it's probably boring for the other person. So they're like, well, I'm not going to answer this person back because it's not moving forward. DM conversations can go quicker than you think. Okay. And even if it's a no, it's usually just a not right now. And that doesn't have to mean like, oh, next week. You essentially have to kind of give up that, like, when is it going to come? You have to sit back and let it happen. Now, what I see a lot for my clients is that, yes, they're connecting. Yes, they're relating. They're being helpful in the DMs, but they never invite the person to the next step. And this is really important. So if you're having DM conversations and you're like, I don't know what to do next, ask the person, would it be valuable to get on a 30-minute call and discuss what we've been talking about here? I'd love to see if I have some ideas to help you. It can be that simple. Now, like I said last week in the episode, make sure you're coming at this from a place of curiosity, not a place of, oh my God, yes, this can be a sale. Because the other person is going to feel that. They're going to know. They're going to know. Okay. So what I hear a lot from my clients coming in and what I see from a lot of connections that I've made in the last 2 weeks. Now, if you're following me on social media, you'll know I'm doing a 10 clients in 30 days experiment, okay, where I am showing up and having conversations. I'm creating content, but I'm making conversations my main thing here. So again, in the last 2 weeks, what I'm hearing is people are interested, but no one is buying. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's the economy, or oh, it's Mercury in retrograde, or whatever is in Libra, and I don't know, planets are moving, right? They're blaming it on something else, but really there's no invitations happening. There's no clear next step. So they're not deciding. People aren't deciding because you're not leading them to a decision, which might be a hard pill for you to swallow. But quite honestly, it's 2026. There is money to be made. There are enough people for you, right? Because if as a coach, as a mentor, if you had 10 hot clients who were like, yes, take my credit card, take my money, I want to be better, your books would be full, right? Chances are, if you're a coach or you're a high ticket entrepreneur, you probably really only need like 1 to 3 new clients per month, or just 1 to 3 clients in general. Okay. So it's not like you're going out and having millions of conversations every single day. Okay, so we've talked about the problems, but let's talk about how to fix it, because that is also a very important piece of this. Most people will talk about the problem, but they're not going to talk about the fix, right? How you can shift some of this. So it's not with more content, and it's certainly not with more strategy, because let me tell you, you probably have enough strategies, but you need a system to support the strategies, which is what I teach you. Okay. And if at any point during this you're nodding along, you're like, oh my God, it's me, oh my God. Again, slide into my DMs. Let's have a conversation. I have a free offer audit for a reason, where I'm going to share with you the top 3 things you can do to move your business along, right? And if it aligns for you, I'll share with you about my programs. But if it doesn't align, I'm not going to share it with you at that point in time. Okay. So, and that's something else I teach my clients, is how to show up and serve, and then ask if they're interested. And if they're not, it's okay. All right. It's really okay. So now, how do we fix this? The number one simple shift is starting conversations every single day. And I know I can hear you going, but I don't want to. Please tell me you can start one conversation per day. Or if this feels easier, start one new conversation every other day and see what happens, because that is also the part where people miss, right? They're like, I can't possibly start conversations. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So starting conversations daily. Stop waiting for people to come to you. And I know for all my introverts, you're like, but here's the thing. You've already started a conversation if people are commenting in your comment section. So go and start the conversation over there. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's really not. And if you need a cheerleader, like, hi, hello, I'm here to be your cheerleader and cheer you on. So you're going to start conversations daily. You're not going to wait for people to come to you. Even if you're a projector, you're not waiting for people to come to you. Okay. You're going to respond in the comments, share a message with that person in the DMs, and you're going to follow up. So when you do that, slide into their DMs. Hey, Sally, thanks so much for commenting on my post. I really appreciate you. How are you doing today? And leave it at that, right? Okay. And then when Sally messages you back, say, I'm so glad, right? Like, have a normal conversation. Be normal-ish. Now, I am going to challenge you to ask better questions. That is step 2 here. You're going to ask better questions, not just how are you, because that is really where things will start to fall off. Okay. So if Sally is responding in your comment section, you slide into her DMs and say, hey, Sally, thank you so much for responding to the comment section. I'm so glad this is hitting home for you. you're going to need a question that supports that content. Okay. So, like for me, I post a lot about generating leads. I post a lot about sales. I post a lot about human design. I'm going to ask questions related to that stuff. Okay. That's the magic pill. Like, that's the magic right there, is just continuing to ask questions and be curious about that other person. Now, the last fix. This, again, might be a hard one for you to swallow, but it's invite them sooner. People often hesitate, wait too long, they overhelp, they overthink. Just the other day, I had someone in my DMs asking me for help, and I said, like, I'm happy to give you a couple quick fixes. Like, here's some things you can do, try on right now. And this person just continued to ask me questions. And I said, okay, this is stuff that I charge for. I have strategy sessions available. I have Telegram mentoring available, right? Like, I call it pocket coaching, where it's voice and text. And then I also have a one-on-one and group program. So if you're interested in something like that, I do answer a lot of these questions in there. You can also check out a lot of my content. You can check out my podcast. I answer a lot of the things you're asking in there. Now, this person did get a little mad at me that I wasn't just willing to help them, but you have to draw a boundary. You have to say, no, that is behind a paywall. If you want my help for that, here's how you do it. I'm happy to get on a call and discuss this more with you. And then that will kind of stop that over helping. Okay. But again, this is something that you have to figure out. This is something I help my clients figure out, is where is that boundary? How can they stick to that boundary, especially when they're having conversations? So this is what we work on inside of the magnetic method. Most people, they really don't need more ideas. They don't need more content. They don't need more strategy, but they do need clear systems, like a client journey. They need to understand how to have better conversations. So you need support, coaching, and mentoring to understand, okay, here's where things start feeling weird for me, and how do we not make it feel weird? Okay. And then ultimately, you need a system that actually converts. And I've talked about this. The system is what supports the strategy. So the system is like the framework of your business. The strategy is all the nice stuff, right? That the windows, the doors, the walls, the furniture, that's the strategy. Okay, so if you're coming into one of my programs, into the magnetic method, whether it's one-on-one or the group program, which, P.S., both of them are open. I have availability for both. So I'm inviting you to go ahead and click the link below so that we can have a conversation about this. Okay, so inside my magnetic method program, we clean up how you're getting clients. We make it more consistent. We make it easier for you to understand. We also refine how you're having conversations. I help you learn how to have a conversation that feels good for you, that feels more natural, that isn't just a script. Okay? And then we build the structure that helps you become predictable in your business. So instead of, I hope this works, it now becomes, I know exactly how someone becomes my client. And then when you know how someone becomes your client and you love your offer, that makes you unstoppable, because now you're like, well, I love my offer. I can't stop talking about it. Here are the 27 reasons why it's great for you. Here's what I'm helping people with. Here's what we're working on, all of that. It becomes so much easier to share rather than being like, oh my God, I don't know if I love this. So again, if you're listening and you're like, yeah, this kind of sounds like what's going on in my business, I probably need some help, feel free to slide into my DMs and DM me the word audit. I'll send you a link. You can book an offer audit. I'll take a look at what's going on, like I said before, and I'll give you the next few steps to help, flush things out for yourself here. Now, I want you to have content that converts. I want you to have conversations that convert. I want you to make sales, because ultimately it makes the world go around, whether we like it or not, right? That's besides the point. But I know you have gifts that need to be shared with the world. I want to help you share those gifts with the world. So, all that to say, make sure you like, share, follow, subscribe, all the things. Make sure you get on my calendar for an offer audit, and I will see you in the next episode.